Hi, and welcome to Authentically ADHD with me, your host, Carmen Irace. I am a teacher, a life coach, a lifelong learner, and an ADHDer. I created this podcast to create community, to create a place for us to learn together as the newest research comes out about this complex neurodevelopmental disorder. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, my friends. We are in for a treat today. I'm super excited to welcome a guest in just a few minutes. And this guest goes by the name of Tom McCulley. And he's also known as my love, the love of my life. So we're going to talk about what it's like to be in love with somebody who has ADHD, anxiety, and all the things. It's going to be fun. I'm so ready. So let's get started. Hi, so welcome to the show. Babe.
What?
I said welcome to
turn?
the show. Yes.
It's okay, it's my turn. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm your boyfriend.
Yes.
We've been dating for about 3 years now. We've known each other for 10. And yeah.
Yes, that does help. So, before we met, actually, did you know much about ADHD?
You know, it was kind of one of those things where we're still struggling with in society today when it comes to openly talking about specific illnesses, and whether it be a mental illness or a brain dysfunction of some sort. But I did notice one of my best friends, who I've known for well over 20 years, that he had something wrong with him because he was always on medication, and I always noticed him going through school, growing up, and, you know, having that crash point, and you're just like, why is this guy always crashing and stuff like that? And it's not something he probably still doesn't even feel comfortable about. I still, to this day, have yet to hear him, actually talk about it. He's maybe talked about it, once or twice for, 30 seconds. And it's like, we're your friends for, over 20 years. It'd be nice if we actually knew what the reason for you, sleeping hard or, nodding off sometimes and not knowing about it because of the medication. So that's about as far as it goes.
So do you remember our first conversation about it?
Specifically, no. I don't remember the first conversation, but I remember the first interaction we had with you specifically having ADHD. Do you remember when we went to that hospital in Elmhurst and we couldn't find our car?
Oh my God, that was in the first year.
Yeah.
And we parked. Oh, I just had to get some blood drawn, friends.
It was the worst parking coded thing I've ever seen in my life.
I lost my
all these lots
car.
were based off colors, and I thought we were in purple. Somehow we were in yellow and green, and it just got
Also, not to interrupt you, but mind you, it was freezing out. We had just started dating, and it was winter. Probably on my Christmas break, he was helping me with getting my blood drawn. Okay, so mind you, it's also freezing. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's. I don't remember.
How long did it take us to find it?
It took us at least 45 minutes, I think.
We were walking around. We actually went back inside because we got so cold.
Yeah.
So.
It was just It was incredibly frustrating for me because I am not a morning person, and for that all to happen even before 9:30 in the morning, I was already taking an L for the day. So,
So you guys know that within the ADHD community, it's not known that we are morning people. But as a child, before I was diagnosed, I think what I did was I made myself a morning person, sort of, as like a survival mechanism, because I didn't know, why it took so long to get ready in the morning and things like that. So the fact that I am in love with somebody who I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, who doesn't, he doesn't like the morning. Like, there's rules. I'm very chatty. That's why I have a podcast.
yeah, you can't talk to me before 10 in the morning.
That's a rule he had to make
It's
because
like
I
an
ask a
actual rule with me.
lot
My
of
family
questions. So when did you realize like that ADHD is not just like what ADHD says it is, and like that it's a whole thing?
When you gave me this list of questions to look over, this was going to be my kind of favorite one to answer, because I love how it says, when did you realize that ADHD is a whole thing?
Oh, I capitalized
whole thing
a
is
whole
capitalized.
thing.
And I was like, wow, the first time that...
And you can ditch.
The first time you weren't going to get your meds for... The first time you missed your meds for a day, that's when I realized that it was a real thing.
Like that it was a whole thing. How about like besides meds, like any like thing, like a funny story, something that you remember that you were like, okay, so this doesn't just impact this part of her life, but it impacts, and you can go deep. This is authentically ADHD.
Ooh, we're getting deep.
Yeah. That's the point. That's why people are going to want to listen to this.
Okay.
Because it's authentic and real. And they go through stuff too. Go ahead, talk about the morning.
What about the morning?
If that's when you realized it was a whole thing. I don't know. Early morning.
Yeah, I just specifically remember the first time the pharmacy, they didn't mess up her medication, but she had... It's a weird... I don't get pharmacies sometimes, It's like...
Well, we don't
they
have
give
to
you
go into...
They give you a month's supply, but yet you run out on day 29.
We don't have to go through the whole, like, okay,
I know.
federal... It's like, it's a controlled substance, people. Most people who are on ADHD medication, it is a controlled substance. So getting your medication, remembering when you need to fill it so that it can legally be filled, and all of the things that go along with that, with our executive functions, it's hard. So yes, I have missed months. I've missed days of meds. So what about that day when I was off my meds really stuck out to you? Like a big thing?
A big thing that stuck out, not to take away from you, but when you did get the situation resolved and the pharmacy that was the first time that you had sent me to go get your meds, and I looked at you kind of like as if you were crazy. Because I was like, wait, these are your meds. How am I able to get these? And then she said, all you have to do is answer the 3 questions I asked. It kind of reminded me of, me loving sports. It kind of reminded me of how they did like concussion tests back in the 80s and 90s. All the guys knew the answers to the questions so they could get back in and play the game. And for me to have this experience, to go to the pharmacy and to be able to pick up a controlled substance under somebody else's name, address, and what other questions? Birthday. And knowing that people can do that to me was just like crazy.
How about how I was at? Like, you looked at me like I was crazy because you're like, how could I pick up this meds? But then you were also like, why? Do you remember what I told you?
I don't. No.
That what I couldn't do, like, for real, if I wasn't on my meds?
You couldn't drive?
I cannot drive, friends.
No.
I am not a good driver.
No,
in general, I'm not a good driver. And you're going to have to speak up a little.
She misses turns all the time. It's kind of funny.
She'll be talking. She'll
be in a full conversation with me, and I'm just looking at the directions. It's like turn left in 0.1 miles, and she's just talking. I'm like, she's gonna miss a turn. She's gonna miss a turn.
The thing is that I turn the mute off so that it doesn't speak over my music. Because I don't like that voice. And so, yes, I do miss turns. But before I was medicated, just to give you guys like a little visual, before I was medicated, I was in, and we're being authentic here, I was in 7 fender benders / car accidents. So that includes hitting other cars.
How many
and
were
hitting
your fault?
other things. 6 of them were my fault. And one of them was it was her fault, but like I just was like, whatever. There was not even damage to my car when it wasn't my fault. And it sort of was my fault because I went like I was going to go and then I slammed on my brakes.
That is downright impressive, taking accountability like that.
Well,
when you say you've been in 7 fender benders, how many are you accountable for? Probably 6.
6 out of the 7
that is
I am accountable
authentically
for.
Awesome.
Thank you. I like to be authentically awesome on here. But after being diagnosed and medicated, I have been in 0. And I've also only gotten pulled over once, and I got a warning because my taillight was out. That was it. So.
Happens to everybody, I think.
Yeah, so, like, that's a big indicator, like, to tell you right there, like, something he didn't even realize, something as small as driving to go get my medication, something I couldn't do while not on the medication that I needed. That's kind of a meta concept. All right, let's go into something fun. What's your favorite part of me having ADHD? / just being me. Because it's a part of me.
Honestly, when you leave the room and don't wake me up.
Well, okay, I love that, but like, what about that? You gotta relate it back.
Because I know your morning routine is how you get your day started. So some days it's a blessing that when you can leave without making any noise, but then there are, of course, some days where I might wake up and then you start asking me questions and I'm all confused because it's the morning and I'm like, why are you asking me questions?
Well, and then I'm sure that this leads into his biggest annoyance, which is my infamous emotional explosions in the morning when I wake up, like,
yeah,
I don't know,
pretty random.
In pain, or you could describe them a little bit if you'd like, or if you want me to. I don't know.
You could go more into it a little bit.
They're probably one of the biggest issues in our relationship that we've been working on, or that I've been working on, we both work on. When I wake up at a time that is not ideal, that I don't like, or that I feel is inconvenient to me, or if I wake up in pain, that's the only other time. I wake up in an emotional explosion. So that looks exactly the way it sounds, friends. I wake up and immediately start crying, whining, and throwing what looks like a toddler temper tantrum. And I'm sure that's very annoying. And sometimes maddening. So would you say that's your biggest annoyance? Or is there like a little like funny one that you would rather share?
No, that's gotta be it. It's not that it's an annoyance, because I know.
Well, that's like our biggest issue.
I know if we have a big issue, it would be that. I guess. I mean, it's not even. I wouldn't even call it an annoyance. It's just, because it's not something that happens. I feel like an annoyance is something that has to happen every day. It doesn't happen every day.
But
really when it happens when it happens like. I don't know, more recently, it's only been like maybe once a month, I think.
And friends,
but you really make it count when you do it, though.
Oh, yeah.
And did you even realize that we had a talk probably a month ago, and you were the one that even said it, and I was surprised by it because I realized that your brain had to recognize, or not recognize, but thinking in that way of, okay, I am acting annoying in the morning sometimes, so...
Guys, I'm not just annoying, I'm like an outright toddler, okay? He's being nice. I am a monster. It's a monster-like thing. This isn't just a little annoyance.
Pretty,
He's putting
basically what she said was, if she ever wakes up and does that, I can pretty much call a timeout. And
that's actually one of the tips we want to
she calls timeout, we go our separate ways. So that usually means she'll take her stuff and go downstairs and probably throw a fit down there, and then I'll steal her cool pillow and probably go back to sleep.
Yes, it's actually a mutual pause. That's one of our tips that we are going to give you.
I recommend it.
Using the pause. Communicate the pause first, though. Like, they need to know what it is. Like, the whole timeout thing. Like,
use whatever words or...
Yeah, use whatever words you guys want to use. But I had a conversation, and he was like, I think that's a great idea. Cause
pineapples.
I don't even know where I heard it. It was in a podcast or a book, I'm sure. But I had recommended it to him, and he was like, yeah, let's try it out. And I've actually used it a few times where I'm like, I need to pause. I need to walk away. Because sometimes, friends...
The best thing to do is walk away.
The best thing to do sometimes is walk away, because
especially when you know you have no control over your emotions.
Exactly.
With it feels ADHD, like you're doing. It might feel like you're doing something bad, but honestly, you're doing like the best thing for yourself.
Yeah, it gives you time to think and breathe and calm down. Because
would you agree? Some people need 2 minutes. Some people need 2 hours.
Yes, I'm one of those people that needs 2 hours.
I'm probably one of the people that needs 2 minutes.
See, and that's the biggest difference. But another big piece of advice that I want to hone in on is, do you see how well that we communicate? Communication is key. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
I would say so.
Not gonna get very far if you don't communicate how you're feeling, or if you are in a bad mood. And I've described stuff to you sometimes where it might not make sense, but you like understand what that feeling is.
You don't have to make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. Somebody has to tell you a feeling. It doesn't have to make sense to you for you to empathize with them, or even just give them the validation of their feeling, and then just move forward with, life, and treating them with the same boundary that you'd want to be treated with. Are there any realizations or like things that you've learned that have helped you like during the course of our relationship?
With you having ADHD?
Yeah.
It's definitely... I had been working on grounding myself, but honestly, being in a relationship with you, it sped the being patient process up a little bit. You really do have to be patient. That's like the biggest advice I would give if your significant other does have ADHD, no matter how mild or full on ADHD. It's definitely going to test your patience. It's definitely going to teach you how to ground yourself.
Well, and I work on grounding myself too, because patience isn't easy for us either. So I commend you for owning up, saying that, like, hey, you got to be patient, because I think that's pretty true. That is pretty true. Have I like surprised you in any ways with like anything I've done or like not done, or?
Oh, you're always a surprise. But, specifically,
I can't.
I just think with the condition you have and the job that you chose, it's actually kind of remarkable how...
Oh, yes, because I am a teacher.
You're able to do that.
I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a podcaster. So, you
really
think
wearing
that
the
awesome.
whole tool belt.
Well, yes, I definitely have a lot of tools in my belt. But I love teaching, you know that. I love to teach kids. I love to help adults. Mm-hmm. And I just love being able to...
She babysits kids, I babysit adults.
So you'd say, I think you already mentioned this, the biggest advice or biggest tip that you'd give to someone like in your shoes now or a couple of years ago even? would be the
I think
patience.
it kind of goes in what you talked about a few minutes ago, which was the communication thing again.
Yeah.
It really, and that's why we're going back to it. It really is that big. If you're in a new relationship with somebody with this condition, you really need to communicate your feelings early. Because their emotional regulation is different than somebody who doesn't. So yeah, obviously it took me a couple. I think I'm still learning. I mean, I don't think I have like everything figured out about you and
no.
what you have, just like likewise for you with mine, but
I mean, it's not, you know what, friends? I think what it comes down to is it's never easy to love another person and like them all the time. Sometimes you're not going to like them, and you're just going to need to figure out ways to cope with that.
Yeah, and to go off that, there are some times where it can get to a point where it feels like some days are treating it as a job, which it isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are just some days, though. I would say those days happen probably like one day a month where you're getting off work, and then, not that it's your fault, but there have been times where I get off work and you're on one of your days where you're short on meds, and then I have to go, I have to come home and...
Oh, and it's a whole
on the way. Good thing my drive from work gives me enough time to decompress and actually think about what to say, because you can't... That's another thing on people with ADHD. They don't like it when you just flip out on them right away, because trust me, they're probably better at it than you are. You could go in there thinking you're going to win the fight, and you're probably not, because you're about to see like some side of this person that you've never seen before.
Oh, yes, that happens. That definitely happens. Those are called emotional explosions, my friends. My goodness. Emotional explosions are not easy. But
they are human, though.
Well, they are human. Mine are just... With ADHD, they're just amplified a bit. Yeah. He's making a face like a bit. You mean a ton?
I'm sure people heard my look right there.
Yeah, I'm hoping, because they can't see us. So yeah, I would say that so far our journey, he has been with me for a lot of the journey of me growing into my ADHD, and in most recent terms, I think that he could give his word on what he thinks the program Focused has done for me, because I think it has helped. What do you think?
Which program specifically?
Kristen Carter's program, my group coaching program.
The workout program?
No. I mean, I do have a workout program, yes, and that's part of my morning routine. But no, since I joined my group ADHD coaching Focused about 6 months ago.
I think the biggest thing that I notice about it is that you're doing a lot of journaling, which is good, because I think for a lot of people either think one way or the other. Like if they keep the thoughts in their head and kind of analyze the problem in their head, and then maybe the things will go away, comparing to the other people who kind of like you, who like to journal your thoughts down so you can actually sit there and look at what your brain is like trying to say.
Exactly. And for those of you out there listening that keep your thoughts in your brains, even you neurotypical people, your brain is not a storage locker. It is not made to hold and solve all your problems and hold all your thoughts and ideas and questions,
like a fart. You just gotta let it out.
Okay, then. That's a great, funny segue into, do you have any other tips or anything else that you want to say? You can find him, before I forget, on Instagram at Tom _ the bomb _.com. And that's all spelled out. Do you have anything else that you want to say?
About the biggest tip?
Yeah, a big tip that you want to give, or just anything else that you want to add. Just anything else that,
I'll go back to communication one more time, because
that's key, guys.
Like I said, yeah, it's very key. There's going to be, it's not all sunshines and rainbows when you're dating somebody.
Period.
Yeah.
And then
because there's going to be those
ADHD.
days where you take care of each other, and then there's those days where, no offense, but you don't want to be in the same room as the person.
And that's normal. That's human behavior too. So this was really fun. I want to thank you publicly for doing this with me, because
you're welcome.
I think that it was a great gift for me, and I think that my listeners are going to enjoy it. So
I hope they did. And once again, communication is key, people.
And we'll end it on that note. So that was a super fun episode to record, and I am excited to release it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and give us some feedback. You can reach us on either of our Instagrams, or you can send us a fun voice recording in the app. Hi, friend. Do you struggle with ADHD? Are you looking for a fabulous community to join to learn more about your ADHD and be given strategies, courses, and a coach? You should join Focused. Head to my show notes and click that link, and we both get a credit to our account. You get money off, I get money off, and Lord knows ADHDers need to save money. So head to that link if you want to join today.